Hello everyone, and welcome to your video tutorial on working with Excel. My version of Excel is off of a PC, off a Mac. I have a computer. The method for doing it on a PC is similar, but it's slightly different, and I'm going to post. You can Google search if you get stuck on any portion that might be different, but I'm going to walk you through the main process here. So on my Excel spreadsheet, you always want your independent variable to be in the column here on the left, and then your dependent variable here on the right. And so to make a graph with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my data, and then I'm going to come up here to insert. If you're on a PC, it'll be not up at the very top of your screen, it'll actually be in Excel, but it's still, you click insert, and you want to insert a chart, and then you always want to do a scatter plot. So click the tab that has scatter. For you PC people, it'll look something like this, and you want to click the one that doesn't connect the dots for you. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And boom, here is our data. Now, I don't really like or care for this tab right here, so all you have to do is just click that and then delete it, and it's gone. And so here's our data, and what we want to do is we want to add a trend line, because again, this is just our acceleration versus angle. This isn't where we're trying to find a linear relationship. And so with this, I'm going to right click a data point, and I'm going to go to add trend line. And this format trend line box comes up. For you PC people, this box will look different. You PC people will see this type option, and also this box all in one screen. But both PC and Mac people are going to click the same thing. For your graph that is acceleration and your angle only, you're not graphing sine theta or cosine theta, you are going to click a polynomial fit, and you want this order of magnitude to be 2. And then on options, you want to set the intercept to 0, 0, and display your equation on chart. Now, we also want to extend our line forward because we want to see where it levels out. Okay, so I'm going to extend it forward, and as you watch, you can see the line extending below. And you want to extend it until it starts to curve back up. So you keep extending, 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 and I've bottomed out, and it looks like I'm on my way back up. Yeah, okay. So display equation, set intercept at 0, 0, then you click OK, and you can move this equation up where it's a little bit easier to see. And there is my graph. And so if you look at this, with my graph, where my limit is, looks like it's about 6.2 or 6.3. I can change over here if I double click this side, or for you PC people, if you right click and you go format axis, you can change the scale. And so with this, you might want a major unit instead of 1 to be maybe 0.5, or you might want to go even more detail and go 0.25. And we can make this a little bit prettier by extending this out, that way we're not so bunched up. And so if you look, here's 6, here's 6.25, and I'm not even halfway between, so you can get a pretty good approximation of your value there. And again, your data might look better than this, it might look worse than this. Your graph might level out at -5. Your data might not even have a polynomial look to it, okay? It's okay. You just need to talk about what your sources of error were in your conclusion. Now, your graph needs a title, and so I would just call this acceleration versus angle. You don't have to get too creative with it. And you need to also add your labels for your vertical axis and your horizontal axis. And so on a Mac, you come over here to Chart Titles, and I'm gonna do let's do the horizontal first, and then add a title. So this is degrees, or well, let's call it angle, and then we'll put it as in degrees, like so. And then I'm gonna change my vertical value to acceleration, and I'll put meters per second, and they're gonna let me do this? Nope, that's okay. And you might be able to, nope, not gonna let me do it. Okay, so now I've got all my labels on my graph. It looks good. This is great to print. Okay, so in your data collection, or excuse me, your data section, this would be perfect to have just as a page. Now, the other graph that I said you needed was either sine theta or cosine theta. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my acceleration column, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm just going to paste it down below, like right here. Okay. And so then what I would do is, say I'm going to graph cosine theta first. I would label this column cosine of my angle. And then you just input the values for cosine of this angle down below. And so you'd input those values. I don't have a calculator on hand, so I'm just going to put some numbers in here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And so then for this graph, for your cosine theta, and you can try cosine and try sine theta, you want a linear fit. So you do the exact same thing. You go up to Insert, Scatterplot, and yikes, this graph looks horrible. But again, I just made up the data. And you do the exact same thing, except when you right-click and you add a trend line, you're going to try to add a linear line, or a linear fit. Again, you want to set the intercept at 0, 0, and you want to display equation on chart, but you also want to display your r-squared value. So when you're deciding which graph is better, sine theta or cosine theta, it's going to boil down to this r-squared value. So if you look, this r-squared value is 0.24. It's horrible. You want your r-squared value to be close to 1. Okay, so if I come back up here to my acceleration graph, and I need to click my line. Format trend line. If I add an r-squared value to this, you see I'm pretty close to 1. I'm at 0.994. Okay, so when you're deciding which graph that gives you a linear relationship, sine theta or cosine theta, use your r-squared value. Whichever one is closer to 1, that's the graph that you want to input in your data collection. Okay, and again, if you have a PC and your screen looks a little different, if you get stuck, just Google search, and if you get stuck, maybe extending your trend line is different. Maybe there's just a button to click that's different. So you can do this.